In this video, we will do two examples of valuing interest rate swaps. Please pause the video, copy down the two examples, press play, and we'll talk through it. So first off, from our last video, we have this bottom left material. And the first example is going to illustrate that sometimes it's good to know where the formulas come from rather than actually using the formulas. So recall that at time t, midway through an interest rate swap, the value of the swap to the fixed rate payer is going to be the value of the remaining float rate bond. And since the float rate bond is neither premium nor discount, its value is always F, the face value, minus the present value of the fixed rate bond payments that the fixed rate payer has to pay over to the other person. So that's how we started our last video, and then we derived that formula for it, where C was the original swap rate and S is the swap rate that's on offer at time t for an n minus t duration interest rate swap. The value to the float rate payer is exactly the opposite in both cases. All right, so in the first example, originally we had a 3-year interest rate swap. It was in effect and the swap rate was 4.9347% on a notional amount of $1 million annual coupons. After the first year, after the first coupon payment has been made, we look at our Bloomberg terminal, we look at the stock market, and on offer is a 1-year spot rate of 7% and a 2-year spot rate of 8%. And let's determine the current value to the fixed rate payer. Okay. All right. Well, let's look at that original fixed rate bond. Coupon payments were F times swap rate C. So $1 million times 4.9347% gives us a $49,347 coupon. And the remaining payments are at time 2 and at time 3. And there's also the redemption payment of $1 million at time 3. All right. So the value at time 1 to the fixed rate payer is they're going to receive the value of the float rate bond, which is always just F, and they're going to pay out the present value at time 1 of these remaining fixed rate payments. All right. So the face value of the float rate bond was $1 million face value, minus the payments that the fixed rate payer has to make are the $49,000 coupons. There's one of the first one at time 2 dragged back to time 1, and there's the coupon at time 3 dragged back to time 1, and there's the $1 million payment dragged back to time 1. All right. So there's the value to the fixed rate payer, and that cranks out to be $54,000 change. Right. So in this example, I was not given the new spot rate, nor did I feel like I wished to calculate it, and I didn't need to because there is a much simpler method of getting the value to the fixed rate payer. Right. Example 2. We had a 9-year swap rate initially on a notional amount of $100,000. And the swap rate at that time was 6.735% with annual coupons. 2 years ticked by, we've made we've exchanged 2 of our coupon payments between the 2 parties. And at this stage, 2 years, we check our Bloomberg terminal and the market is offering a 7-year spot rate of 7%. And a 7-year bond with a 4% annual coupon with a par of 100 happens to be priced at $85.70. Why is that important? Well, it's just a random fact about a bond that will come in handy. We would like to determine the value of the swap at time 2 years to the float rate payer, right? Okay, well, so we're going to try and figure out the new swap rate on a 7-year swap that would take us from time 2 to time 9. We'll call that S. And we've actually done a problem like this in an earlier video. So at time 2 years, we've been told about this 7-year bond price. We've been told the 7-year bond is priced at $85.70. It has $4 coupons, 4% of the par value of 100. It's going to have 7 of those. I'll drag them back to the spot rates. And then it's got a redemption payment of $100, and I'll drag that back 7 years with the spot rate. So there's how I would price that for a 7-year bond. I know the 7-year spot rate is 7%, so I'll drag $100 back with a 1.07 to the 7. And I can solve for A7 spots, the value of the present value of that 7-year annuity immediate at spot rates. and I get 5.8563. This will allow me to get my new swap rate. So the formula for swap rate was 1 minus V spots to the 7th all over the present value of that annuity immediate. V spot for the 7-year is 1.07. Annuity immediate we already figured out. And so I get a new swap rate, S is 6.442%. And so the value at time 2 of this initial 9-year swap to the float rate payer is going to be the initial face value, initial swap rate minus new swap rate times A7 spots, just as this formula over here dictates. The face value of that original 9-year swap was $100,000. C was 6.735%. S we just calculated to be 6.442%. And A7 spots, that bond allowed us to calculate it at 5.8563. So we get a value to the float rate payer of $17.15 and 90 cents. And thus the value to the fixed rate payer is negative $1,715 and 90 cents. Right? So those are two examples using sort of two different versions of the formulas to solve for the value for one person or the other midway through the duration of an interest rate swap.